Alright, so first problem is about combining rules. So we'll start working here. I definitely notice I'm going to need the quotient rule somewhere, and that's probably the one I'm going to start with considering is, well, I've got a fraction here. So I got my low d high minus high d low and then square the bottom kind of deal. So I'm going to break it apart into a bunch of steps. So low, that's not so bad, so I just got to recopy 3x minus pi to the fourth. So there's my low. Now d high, I'm not actually going to compute it yet. I'm just going to say, hey, by the way, the derivative of the high so there's my low d high minus, I'm going to go high d low. So there's my high, and then this is d low. And then all over low squared. So if you don't mind, I'm just going to put this to the 8th power now. Right? If you have something to the 4th and then you square it, it's to the 8th. So we're not done, but we're closer. You know, now this problem has just turned into, well, if I could just compute this thing in yellow and then this yellow thing, I'd be good. I'd be done. That's all I need is those two things in yellow. So you've broken this one problem now into two separate problems. Okay, so my goal right now is going to be to find the derivative of that thing in green. So that's it. So I'm gonna start with that. So what if I just want to find the derivative with respect to x of sine of 2x times e to the x. So when I talk about like breaking it apart, this is what I mean. Okay, so I see product rule there. So that's going to be what? Sine 2x times the derivative of e to the x plus the derivative of sine 2x times what? E to the x. So it feels like the problem just keeps getting bigger and bigger, and it kind of does. You're going to have to expand this thing and then put it back together. So, I know this one here. What's the derivative of e to the x? E to the x. Okay, so that part's that's done. Now I got to do this one here. So you got an outer function and an inner. So the outer is sine. The derivative of sine is cosine. So you'll have cosine and then plug in the guts there. And the inner is 2x. What's its derivative? 2. Okay. So I think we pretty much have that green piece now. So I'll write it out. So that green piece is sine of 2x times e to the x plus 2 cosine 2x e to the x. So individually, I think you guys can probably get through most of the steps. It's just you got to have I don't know if it's organizational skills at this point to tackle this problem or just perseverance, because you look at this and you want to cry. So now we got to do the one in yellow. So if we can do the one in yellow, we'll be finished. And I don't think the one in yellow is so bad. We just need to find the derivative of 3x minus pi to the fourth. So derivative 3x minus pi to the fourth. I see an inner and an outer function. So I'll do the outer function first. Okay, there's the derivative of the outer. I just plug in the guts of that, and then I go to the inner function. How many terms are on the inner function? 2. Now, so you can do the derivative of each term separately, right? So the derivative of the 3x term is 3. The derivative of pi is 0. So you don't even need the 3 minus 0, but... So that's the yellow piece. So I've got those two pieces that need to get plugged back in, so I'm just going to go copy and paste this thing. Okay, so your final answer is going to be kind of gross, but that's alright. So final answer, I'm going to go with 3x minus pi to the 4th.
You just stole my joke again.
Okay, what needs to be written next? What goes next? What? Okay. All right, so not that. Yeah, that's pretty bad, but you can do it. That's your answer. I mean, now you could do it. Yeah, don't worry about simplifying that. It's just going to make my life tougher when I try to grade it. So if you could just leave it like that.
Will you ever make us simplify that?
Well, you know, the ones on the AP tests aren't going to be nearly that bad, so the simplification won't be nearly that bad. The reason I've given them to you like this, where they're really massive and ugly, is when you get to that AP test and you see like the straight derivative problems, I want those to be instances where you don't have to think, where you're just like, oh, I can do this one, and you just write it out quick, and you're on to the next problem. Because you got to have some downtime when you take that test. Not every problem can be super intense. So some of them have to come easy. So we're kind of stepping it up here a notch. And expect a lot from you here, but when you get to that AP test, they're not going to have one that massive. Okay, so next problem. Yep. No, you're okay. We can let you look at that. All right, problem number 2. Dane, problem number 2 deals with, is it implicit, combined rules, or a logarithmic? Nice, man. Implicit. So your task here in number 2 is to find y prime. You'll notice it's not going to be easy to explicitly solve for y. So you're going to differentiate before you explicitly solve for y. So we end up calling this thing implicit differentiation. So you're going to take the derivative with respect to x of both sides. How many terms do you guys see total? 3. Yep. You got 3 terms. So you can take this one problem and say, well, really, right now it's about finding the derivative of each of those 3 terms. So this is one term, this is another, and this is the final term. So let's do that y squared term first. Anybody know the derivative of y squared with respect to x? Okay, cool. 2y prime. Now this next one, I'm just going to write this for now. d dx of 2 sine xy equals d dx x to the pi times y. So it's kind of like I didn't do all of those parts here just because I felt good about getting one of the three terms done. So I did a rewrite, and only one of the three terms have been differentiated, but that's fine. That's a good place to start. So now let's pick, well, you've got really two pieces left. Let's go with the middle one there. So you have 2y prime minus, well, this might make it easier for you, 2d dx I'm not sure that I would take time to actually do this rewrite. You know, when it comes down to it, but it's kind of nice right now. I'm just trying to articulate that you can take that 2 and move it out front. So you don't have to consider that in your derivative. Dane?
On the right side, is that x times y,
X to the pi times y. So, okay, so now, now we'll do this piece in yellow. So whatever that piece in yellow turns into, you're going to have to multiply it by 2. So let's see, you got a couple things going on. You definitely have an outer function of sine. Derivative of sine is cosine. So what gets plugged into the cosine function? xy. Okay, then you have an inner function of x times y. Well, that's a product rule. Right, so that's going to be, you'll go x times d dx of y plus d dx of x times what? Y. Okay, this thing in purple, how much is that?
1.
That's 1. What do we call this thing in orange?
Y prime.
Y prime, okay. So this is x, y prime plus y, and then cosine of x times y.
2 cosine, right?
And then, yep, and that 2 is going to end up affecting this. So this is our new thing in yellow. That needs to get plugged in. And then the last thing we're going to have to do is the green here. So I'm going to do just a rewrite to clean this up. So I'm going to substitute that new yellow piece in. So you'll have your 2y y prime minus 2 times cosine cosine of xy, xy prime plus y equals. Okay, so just the green piece is left. Sort of. I mean, then you're going to have to isolate y prime, which is always super fun. So you got, what rules do we have when going after the green one? Product rule. Yep. So you're going to go, so we're going to do some green work here. So you got product rule, that's x to the pi times d dx of y plus d dx of x to the pi times how much? Triple x, how much? Y. Good answer. Okay. What do we call this one? Triple x? Okay, so you got x to the pi times y prime plus, okay, y times something. What's the derivative of x to the pi?
X to the pi minus 9.
Nice. So That's your new green piece. So we're just gonna do a rewrite and plug that in. So erase this one. And plug in this one. Okay, now how many terms do you see?
I see a lot.
2 on the right.
2 on the right
I see 2 on the left.
and 2 on the left. That left side can be really hard to identify how many terms, but there's 2 terms on the right, 2 terms on the left. Now, the left side is going to be a pain. There's really no way around that one. So, like this piece here, that's fine. This piece here, you're fine. This piece here, you're even fine. It's this one in red that's going to give you trouble. Because how are you going to strip out y prime out of that? So what you're actually going to do is you are going to, first, this piece in orange, you're going to multiply this by xy prime. And then you're going to multiply it by y. So you have 2 xy prime cosine xy plus how much? Well, there's definitely a y. Like what I'm asking you to do right now is multiply this yellow piece and this yellow piece. Y cosine xy?
Y cosine xy.
Okay, now you've got to distribute this 2 in.
So, just out of
Yeah.
curiosity, why did you decide to do the cosine one before the 2?
You know, the 2 probably would have made more sense.
Oh, I was wondering if that adds anything.
So let's see, this is 2xy prime cosine xy plus 2y cosine xy. And then we've got to bring everything else with 2y y prime equals x to the pi y prime plus y pi x to the pi minus 1. How many terms do you see? 5? Okay, I want to count. 1, 2, 3, 5. How many of those terms have y prime in them? 3? Okay, I agree. This one, this one, this one. Now, you want to put all of them on the right or on the left? Left. Okay, I agree. There's already 2 on the left. So this one gets moved over this way. This one gets moved over that way. Oh, we're so close. So 2y y prime minus 2x y prime cosine xy minus x to the pi y prime equals y pi x pi minus 1. What's next? Minus or a plus? Minus how much? Good job. Okay, Jeff, now what do I do?
Then you factor out the y prime out of the left side.
Okay.
So you get y prime times 2y minus 2x cosine xy minus x pi equals that other side.
Bless you.
Okay.
Yeah, your calculus right there.
And then your final
Divide.
answer, yeah, divide, good job. Y prime equals that one divided by sort of this one. I'll just write it, I guess. 2y minus 2x cosine xy. xy minus x to the pi. And that, my friends, is the answer. We only have one problem left, and it's going to go super fast because it's it's the easier one out of the three. So this one right here, copy, paste.
Yeah, let's copy and paste really fast.
Okay, you got a function to a function, logarithmic differentiation.
Twice in a row.
So I'm going to put the y on the other side. So, okay, natural log of the left, natural log of the right. So natural log of y equals natural log of this stuff. No calculus has been done. Exponent gets to move out front. So no calculus yet. E to the 5x times, you can barely see that, 5. E to the 5x times the natural log of 5 cosine x. Now take the derivative of both sides with respect to x. So left side turns into
Natural times y prime.
right side requires what rule first?
Chain.
There's chain. That's not the one I'm thinking of going.
You
Considering
need
first.
product to get to
I'm
the
thinking
chain.
product first, yeah.
I like doing
Because
the
we have the
chain
product
first.
of
I'm
this
more of a
function
chain
and this one.
person.
So you got your e to the 5x times the derivative of natural log 5 cosine x.
I'm gonna watch this video just to listen.
Go after.
That's a good question. How do I know which one to consider first? JM said, hey, how do I know which rule to consider first? Like, when I see that, I think product rule needs to be considered first. Well, okay, so I certainly will need the chain rule if I ever want to find the derivative of e to the 5x or the natural log of 5 cosine x. That's going to be needed if I need to find those derivatives piece by piece. But the greatest thing there, I guess, is I have the product of two functions. Just so happens that with those functions, I'll need the chain rule. But bare minimum, I'm looking at the product of two functions, so that's how I break it apart first. So this problem really right now is about, can you find that derivative, and can you find that derivative? Okay, so anybody know what the green turns into? Hannah, I think you know it.
1 over.
Yeah.
1 over 5 cosine x
Okay.
times 5.
Good. She's right. That's what the green turns into. You can clean that up a little, but we don't have to right now. The yellow turns into what? E to the 5x. That's the outer function. Times 5. Okay, so this is going to get cleaned up a little. That's going to turn into negative 5 sine x over 5 cosine x, which is negative sine x over cosine x, which is negative tangent x. So that's really your green piece. Alright, so let's see, we got 1 over y times y prime equals e to the 5x times negative tangent x plus 5e to the 5x times the natural log of 5 cosine x. Almost done. Do what to both sides? Multiply by y. Yes. Y prime equals the right-hand side multiplied by y. Anybody have another way to write y?
Yeah. Can I see the original problem?
The original problem is here.
5 cosine
Oh,
x to the e
nice.
to the
Good, so that's y.
Too much math for me.
So y prime equals that stuff. That stuff multiplied by that. And that's it.
That was so easy.
I mean, it only took me, the teacher, 30 minutes to do it.
Seriously.
Oh, I see what I did.
Everything?
What's that? Just getting you ready. Just want you to be ready. Okay, hey, good job. Thanks for enduring.
Say that. Derek probably knew this in his sleep.